Hey guys, Flamengo greetings. This is Flamengo. Welcome to the Paparazzo Rubro Negro channel. If you're just arriving, I invite you to follow, like, and share on all platforms. If you're on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe down here, turn on notifications, hit the bell, and leave that awesome like on the video. We're here thanks to our sponsor, Leon. Check it out. You can find Leon in Mergers. There are 25,000 prizes out there. Yeah, man, Little Lions, plushies, Leonzinho plushies. This one right here. Look, there are 25,000 of them out there. In the Leon boxes, you'll find the coupon and you can exchange it for your little lion. Look, so if you're already the #1 fan of Leon T, you can get your lion plushies. Look, there's more. There are lions, right? In this case, little plushies for you. There's a QR code here for you to get more information. So take advantage of it. He's here with us, right? Cheering for Brazil. He's here with us. Look, he's there. He's there. He looks so cute over there. And we also have important games happening today, right? For example, Spain and Cape Verde happening right now, right? We're already keeping an eye on it, a big rival there, right? Possibly for Brazil. It's tough, paparazzo. It's tough for Brazil to pull this off, right? There are games where Brazil might suddenly get knocked out. Already in the round of 16, round of 8, there are a lot of games that could be tough. The Netherlands and Japan played well. Both teams are really good. Today we also have at 6 p.m. here, 7 p.m. in Brazil, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay. Yeah, a little earlier, right? At 3 p.m. here, 4 p.m. in Brazil, Belgium, and Egypt. Egypt, which Brazil beat with difficulty. Yeah, and then even later, 9 p.m. here, 10 p.m. in Brazil. There's New Zealand and Iran. Yeah, there's Iran's game. And that's where, there's this whole issue, all these problems. That's when the competition was about to start and everything. But that's it. Okay, so these are today's games, and we've picked them out for you. And there's Guillermo Varela, right? Like I said, against Saudi Arabia, there's Guillermo Varela, okay? Tá? Então, so just to give you an idea, I'm going to give you the latest Flamengo news. I just wanted to bring this up, right? There's this issue with BAP and Leila and all, which we're going to talk about. I'm seeing another piece of news here, very interesting, but we have some important information to share with you. Regarding today's games, right? The matter of the super odds, right? There are a lot that Esportiva Bet has prepared. Look, this one is really cool. Look, 1.60, now it's 1.75, okay? The game Saudi Arabia versus Uruguay, total goals, shots by Saudi Arabia, over 7.5. Okay? Shots by Saudi Arabia versus Uruguay. So more or less shots, more than 7.5 shots by Saudi Arabia, paying 1.75. Remember to play responsibly. It's for people over 18. It's entertainment, not an investment. I'll leave the registration link here. Then you can do it. Just look for it on the platform and you can do it. Yeah, there's also another interesting one here for Belgium and Egypt. Look, from 1.66, it was 1.55 over 1.5, right? Egypt total offsides, over 1.5 offsides for Egypt against Belgium, okay? And we also have a super odd here, very interesting, that reached 6.30. It was 4.75. I really like this one for Saudi Arabia and Uruguay with Guilherme Varela on the field. Okay, it's Uruguay to win. Both teams to score. It's over 9.5. It's both teams to score. No, okay, both teams to score, right? Saudi Arabia and Uruguay, so they don't score, okay? It's just Uruguay. In this case, they have to win, so only Uruguay can score. Saudi Arabia can't. And over 9.5 for corners, it was 4.75. Now it's 6.30, valid for all players. Uruguay has to win, only Uruguay. Recent registration, isn't it? It's a 7 p.m. match. Maximum stake is 50. Is that right? So you can take advantage of it. This one is paying a lot, okay? So we're bringing this to you. And remember, I'll leave the link for this ticket as well. In the pinned comment, there's the link to the platform for you to register, and there's the link to the ticket. It's worth it because it's the platform that brings the most boosted odds, increased odds. It's really good, Esportiva. Well, now I will talk about the Flamengo issue. I saw Manel's channel, who is a specialist in talking about Botafogo, saying the following: 2 billion BAP from Flamengo threatens to go to court against the sale of Vasco's SF. Leila threatens to sue back and mocked BAP. Are you scared? Yeah, there's the SAF law, right? And there's family and there's drama, okay? And then he's saying here the amount. Marcos Lamar negotiates 90% of Vasco's SF for a little over 2 billion. That's what Flamengo makes in a year, just so you get an idea, right? Yeah, but they still haven't signed the MOU. The parties disagree on the operating model. 2 billion on the table. The pen is still in the air. Yeah, Flamengo says it's against the law. Law 14,193 prohibits the controller of an SF from having indirect participation in another. Like her, Leila she's married. Manel's channel, which is bringing this information, since Leila is married to the buyer's father, they claim a defensible family connection. But it's far from a sure thing, okay? Here's the detail. Palmeiras is not a SAF. It's an associative club. It's about who buys. And the one buying is the stepson, not Leila, who denies any business relationship with him. For many people, the legal argument is just a cover. Just fear. Competition from a billionaire Vasco? No, I disagree, okay? Yeah, Leila didn't let it slide. It's fear of me, it's fear of Palmeiras. She threatened to sue. Summary. 2 billion just sitting there while two presidents fight in court. Yeah, if that really happens, right? So what now? He asked the question here. Do you think it's upholding the law or is it fear of competition? In my opinion, it's upholding the law, okay? It's really strange even for Palmeiras fans to see their president already having a family member thinking about taking over Vasco. I think there's a conflict in this case while she's president of Palmeiras. I think there's a conflict. From the moment she leaves Palmeiras, there's no conflict at all, okay? So I even think that, I understand now what BAP is saying, because this could happen at any moment. But while she's president of Palmeiras, if this happens, I think there's a conflict. From the moment she leaves Palmeiras, I don't see any conflict at all. I'm not even going to say anything. There's no problem, right? Well, we have a lot going on. There's the soccer transfer market situation. Let's also react here to the Charla podcast episode with BAP. I talked to BAP today. BAP sent me congratulations. Thanks to the president of Flamengo who sent me birthday wishes. I want to thank Zico who sent me congratulations. The great Zico, our biggest idol. Zico called me to wish me a happy birthday. Gabriel Orfo was even startled here next to me, right, Ochoa? Hey, Orfo. Damn, you got a call like that? BAP told me he's already in Sao Paulo. BAP is already back in Brazil, already in Sao Paulo. He was here in New York and gave an interview to the people from Charla podcast. Yeah, and BAP took a jab at Palmeiras again, guys. BAP talked about the refereeing issue again, right? Leila talked about him yesterday and he brought up the refereeing issue again. Let's check it out here. Look at Charla podcast. Let's see what BAP said.
Flamengo is one of the 4 teams that commits the fewest fouls in Brazil, but in this Brazilian championship, it was the team that had the most players sent off. So that's just math, I'll tell each of you. The level of tolerance from referees in Brazil towards Flamengo is infinitely lower than it is towards Palmeiras. I have no doubt about that. That doesn't mean Palmeiras is being favored. I can't say that, but what I'm saying is mathematically true. Yeah, and this isn't whining, it's a fact, and it's not just in Brazil. We see this in World Cup games, right? Yesterday's game in Brazil, man, there were plays there that would have been yellow cards in Brazil. Casemiro in Brazil. If he played for Flamengo, that tackle he made on the player, he would have been sent off for that play. I have no doubt about it. And it's no coincidence, if you look at it, there are a lot of people who analyze this kind of thing. Scott, which team in Brazil in the last 3 years has had the most favorable VAR decisions? Everybody knows which one it was.
So BAP is saying that Flamengo is one of the teams that commits the fewest fouls, receives the fewest fouls, and gets the most cards. That's it. I had already talked about this. BAP pointing out that the refereeing decisions happen when it's Flamengo's game. So he even used Casemiro, the issue with Casemiro's tackle, to explain that if it were Flamengo, he would have been sent off, okay? For sure, there will be people on the other side responding and wanting to criticize Flamengo's president for saying that, right? Flamengo president Luiz Eduardo Batista. BAP is the one who ended up bringing up this situation, right? There are referees who officiate Palmeiras games who end up making these kinds of decisions. So what now? He mentioned Palmeiras again and also mentioned, the Brazilian national team. For example, let me say something. If that tackle by Casemiro had really happened while he was playing for Flamengo in the Brazilian league, I don't know if VAR wouldn't have called it and if there wouldn't have been a chance, for Casemiro to get a red card. Look, BP replied to our friend over there, Bruno Cantarelli, right? And also Beto Jr. on Charla, regarding the issue of arrogance or purpose, right? Let's see what he says here about the desire to win many titles, since Leila likes to joke about Real Madrid and Chopin. But it's about being the Real Madrid of the Americas, which is actually much more of Flamengo's dream, to win titles non-stop until becoming the dominant force. At least that's how I understand it. Let's follow along here, okay? In terms of the schedule,
It's nearly impossible. No one has done it yet. It's very hard survival, but not impossible.
he discusses how difficult it is to win the true treble, the Copa do Brasil, the Brazilian Championship, and the Libertadores.
It's not impossible until someone does it. So I usually joke and say, right, it's better to aim for the moon with your dream, because if you miss, you end up among the stars. Last year, we also wanted to win everything. We won the Carioca, we won the Brazilian Championship and the Libertadores, but we missed out on the Copa do Brasil. Last year, I was happy, and this year, we're aiming for everything again. Sooner or later, someone will win it all. I hope that...
This is the first time this year, but it won't happen again. They were eliminated from the Copa do Brasil. He said yesterday they know they're out, but claim they're still aiming for everything.
People confuse dreaming, wishing as if it were arrogance or pride. That's not it.
Look, answering Lula,
To say that he's arrogant, 40 years old wanting to play in another World Cup, it's no longer a matter of money. It's about him wanting to do more, wanting to surpass himself after everything he's already done. Similarly, the way we run Flamengo is the same. We aim for the moon, and whatever comes our way, we're grateful for.
so he's saying that what he said about being the Real Madrid of the Americas isn't arrogance. And once again, right, they use that against Flamengo, right? I'm going to react here as well to BAP talking about the market issue. Okay, this is important. Let's go. This thing about the next transfer window.
What happens is that FIFA determines that there are 2 periods in the year when you can carry out these transactions. One thing is, I want a player in position X, any player for the squad we have. We've reached the level where we don't just want any reinforcement, we want the right reinforcement, and when you want the right reinforcement, he has to be available. The club has to want to negotiate him, he has to want to come play here, your timing has to match the transfer window and his intentions. There are a number of variables that the media nowadays ignores, and it makes it seem like we're just playing Monopoly, BAP will get there. The player I don't like, the one I think should leave, he'll be sold quickly and for a high price, and the player I think is the best of the best. BAP is an exceptional negotiator with Boto. They're going to bring him in for $3 million, and the guy will arrive here tomorrow to play. But this dynamic doesn't match reality. There are players you want, and there are others you think are out of your reach, but they come up as an opportunity. So, there was a top-level world-class player who 30 days ago they told me, look, he's considering leaving Europe, staying in Europe, or playing for Flamengo. If he moves to South America, he'd only play for 2 clubs, one being Flamengo. We looked into it, got excited, spent a week evaluating it and all. We thought about a little marketing project. Imagine.
Imagine
A friend wearing a turban shows up, puts a truckload of money in front of him, and the guy just skips the South American train station and leaves. And this thing about the next window, what's gonna happen?
Did Almada not show up? Maybe it's someone more important. It's some player, maybe even one who would agree to go to South America, man. He confirms the information from Flamengo's column. A player, right, who plays in Europe, who would agree to return to South America, so he's South American. Who is this galactic player that BAP is talking about? Isn't it that someone with an Arab turban came in, boom, put millions on the table, and then won the deal, right? Actually, it made the deal harder. That train he was on, the train to South America is already showing up. The train to Arabia is interesting. Look, and he also talked about business matters. Let's see here that
he's at the World Cup, which I'm a fan of. He already scored a title-winning goal for Flamengo. That's Plata. Without off-field issues,
if he were a different kind of player,
maybe he would be in Europe.
In my opinion, the overall level of soccer is much higher today. When you look at the games we see here at the World Cup, there are no more easy matches. So, when you talk about Plata, I see it like this. There's an appreciation for the players. Some are more valued than others. I see that there's also a personal side to it, which sometimes we don't take into account. And our job is to minimize these variations, whether through planning or by considering the players' profiles. So I think Plata is an exceptional player, and that at the moment in his life, he thought it was best to be here. But I think Plata is capable of playing for any team on the planet. But is that what Plata wants?
Any player here who is in the World Cup is capable of playing for any team on the planet. Platita, look at that compliment from BAP to Platita, my friends. BAP also criticized over at Charla the issue with the fields, the lack of standardization, and he disagreed with the matter, the Spanishization of football in Brazil. And I understood what he meant. Really, over in Spain, it's different. Look,
There's no Spanishization at all because over there they have standardized fields, they have a league, they have standardized financial fair play, they have clear rules. The CNRD there works faster and better than in Brazil. There are other things, there are other oddities.
look how long Inter owed Flamengo.
Brazil, yes. That in some way balances things out. Corinthians won the Brazil Cup last year, earned 90 million. That doesn't count in this.
Owing everyone.
The Spanish-style dominance, this dynamic of the championship until the end, without you knowing who's going to win. I don't think it's fair for us to talk about Spanish-style dominance when you look at those leagues abroad. I mean, the top two teams open up a huge points gap compared to the others. That's not what happens in Brazil. I understand that when people talk about Spanish-style dominance, I think it's more to dramatize the situation. That could be a trend in the future, but look at the money coming into Brazil with the new SAFs. You have Bahia now, with City's new management. City with Pedrinho. So can we say that Cruzeiro is an easy win for Flamengo? Obviously not. If there were this Spanishization, maybe I shouldn't be so worried or respect Cruzeiro so much, so I don't see it that way.
That's it. That's why we say it's a very tough game, a complicated match against Cruzeiro, right? Especially in the round of 16 of the Copa Libertadores da América. Yeah, so we reacted to several moments there. You can watch the full Chala podcast. You can also follow them on their social media. We also had him here yesterday as well. BAP discussed Luis Henrique and Danilo, both of whom interest Flamengo. There's a chance to bring both of them, but you have to convince the players to come. It's not easy. It's always difficult, right? So a very good interview from BAP, which we consider really shows that he's out there looking to solve this whole transfer market issue, knowing what he said, right? Flamengo would bring everyone if they could, but that's the thing. Sometimes you have a team from abroad that convinces not the Arabs who put in a lot of money and end up messing up your deal. Then there's Danilo who wants to play in England and Luis Henrique who Zenit doesn't accept. Negotiate, make deals, pay in installments and more. Flamengo can do all that. Now, the question is, will they convince the guys? Will they convince them to do it, to pay in installments? That's a whole different story. My friends, I'm going to talk about this situation with Henrique now, okay? And I don't know about you, but I think there's something really strange going on here. So, man, we have the lip reading by our dear Veloso, right? Veloso GG, man, it's there. It was even on Fantastico. Henrique is saying, but that's it, right? UAI, if I could, I would go in, right? It's sad seeing a player like that. It's really sad, man. And what's worse is seeing people being biased. Damn, who don't criticize. I criticize Paqueta's performance. Why wouldn't I want to see Henrique, who's from Palmeiras, who's a former Palmeiras player? Why wouldn't I want to see Rayan, who's a former Vasco player? I'm really rooting for these guys to get in. Henrique is fired up. He's got that fire in him. I'm really hoping Henrique gets to play. And that lip reading from Veloso on Fantastico shows how disappointed he is. And man, the look on Henrique's face after Danilo was called and he didn't get to play shows me that something is going on, something is happening. And that tackle from Casemiro, no matter how much they try to downplay it in training, man, honestly, that right there, man, that's unbelievable. That's unbelievable, okay? I'll tell you guys, hey, Tielo, open your eyes. This kid is asking for a chance. His jersey, his vibe, his energy, which I really believe in, didn't change from 19 to 10. for nothing. That right there is a sign. It's a message. I was with Gabriel, Pele's grandson, yesterday. We were with him. Man, something tells me this kid is asking for a chance, for God's sake. And the information from UOL here, which I also can't believe, I can't believe this information from UOL. Look, the information from UOL says the following: that Carlos Chelote's caution with Henrique on the national team is related to the tactical demands the coach expects. That the most advanced forward should press, try to intercept the opponent's ball out, and also miss a header goal. Chelote, the one that Vinicius Jr. set up for him and he missed. Although he has the ability to fulfill this role, Henrique usually drops back to participate more in building up the plays. That's good. That's what Mateus Cunha does, which you like, and he even scores. Henrique does it too, right? The coaching staff doesn't see this as a problem, but rather as part of the development process for a young and very talented player. For God's sake, he's here to help us win the cup. We need him. That's it. I invite you to follow, like, and share on all platforms. If you're on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe down below, turn on notifications by clicking the bell, and leave a nice like on the video. Thank you so much for your company, and thanks to everyone who sent congratulations. 4848, we're together. Red and black greetings. This is Flamengo. Thanks.